Bread, which is regarded as one of the basic staple food, could be a scarce commodity in coming days. Going by the latest statement from the bakers under the aegis of the Premium Bread Marketers Association of Nigeria, who are considering shutting down operations over a hike in diesel price. According to them, the continuous hike in the price of diesel is taking a serious toll on bread production. Hence, Nigerians should brace up for yet another rise in bread prices. Where the association said the price of diesel rose from 350 naira to about 850 per litre in less than a week, lamenting that there are no current measures to cushion negative impacts on the sector. So the big question is there any silver lining in sight as Nigerians brace up for an inevitable bread price hike? So let's quickly look at the overview of the bread market in Nigeria and look at in terms of revenue, the bread segment accounts for about $14.13 million in 2022. The market is expected to grow annually by 6.80% between 2022 to 2027. In relation to total population figures, per person revenues of about $65.21 generated in 2022. That's about $65.21 million. In the bread segment, volume is expected to amount to about 3.77, that's 3,779.6 kilogram by 2027. The bread segment is expected to also show a volume growth about negative 2.2% in 2023. So the average volume per person in bread segment is expected to rise to about 1.1 kg, 19 rather, 0.1 kg in 2022. So that's some facts and figures there for you to make sense of our discussion. So let's now get started now. We have Barrister Bukola Olatunde, who is the MD CEO of Bread Pro. She's here with me. Thank you for joining us, Barrister.
You're welcome.
Barrister in the bread baking industry. So I'm trying to connect how, this particular, from lawyer to baking, interesting journey that must be.
Yes, it is.
Perhaps you want to tell me about that before we get into the real conversation.
I've left practice for a while, but I'll still go back to it. It's just that I have a passion for baking things, you know, not just bread. I do snacks, cakes. I just have a passion for baking. So right now I'm pursuing my passion.
Interesting. And it's bringing money. It's making money.
I'm still new in the business, but I'm determined.
Okay, interesting.
I'm determined to get there.
Interesting. So let's look at the recent statement by the association. I mean, you are in this industry. You know, the Association of Bakers said they are going to shut down because of the cost of diesel, which is impacting on the cost of their overall production. Now, how do you respond to that?
We all know the situation in the country.
Right.
And it's also applicable to the bread making industry. It's not just the diesel that's increased. Even all the materials we use for bread making have also increased. In fact, they increase almost on a weekly basis. Flour price keeps going on. I bought flour yesterday, just between Saturday and yesterday it has increased again. So sugar has shot up.
You have to communicate with me so I can get you very well. Okay.
The prices, butter prices, sugar, all the ingredients have increased prices.
Okay, butter has increased, sugar has increased, and the flour too has increased.
Flour has increased. It keeps increasing. Almost on a weekly basis.
Last did you, how much did you buy it last? The last time you bought flour, for instance?
Yesterday.
And how much
it was 22,500.
Okay.
When I started baking, we used to buy one bag for 10,000. At that time, I wasn't doing bread, I was doing only snacks, but bread was being sold already for 400 naira. When it was 10,000 naira per bag. Now it's 20-something thousand naira, 22,500 precisely.
Yeah.
And people still want to buy bread for the same price they were buying it.
Okay.
You know, they want, maximum, they want to buy bread at the rate of 500 naira, which is just like a 20% increase. Meanwhile,
500
all
naira.
our
Okay.
all our materials have shot up by over 100%, in increase. And then secondly, people still want quality.
Okay.
For a person like me, maybe because of education, I prefer to do quality things. My bread is quality. So
Okay.
even right from time, they used to tell me my bread is expensive. But I'd be like, even at this present Nigeria, if anybody buys a family loaf for 500 naira, you should be careful of what is eating. Because a lot of bakeries, they've started using things to replace what they should use, and those things are injurious to health. They can cause cancer. People now use some sweeteners to replace sugar just to reduce the cost. Even flavors, are now heard that flavors for butter instead of using butter. Those things, most of those things can cause cancer. So anybody, when they come to my shop and they're like, they bought a big jumbo of bread for 500, and I say, I don't do that. If you actually value your health, you will not buy such bread. So, but even right now, I sell my bread for 700 naira, my ordinary bread, and special bread, 800 naira. And people are complaining.
And that's because...
And people are complaining, but recently things have increased again. So I'm contemplating of increase.
So what you are saying now, that since we've seen increase in the prices of the materials that you use, so now currently a loaf of family bread is 700 naira.
Yes.
While the special one is 800 naira.
800
so
naira.
what you're saying is that we may see a possible increase.
Yes. In fact, if you want to do it well, a loaf of bread should go for like about 1,000. Because I don't use diesel, I use petrol. But even petrol too sometimes, petrol has increased price, but it's not as much as diesel. So what if you check the overall cost because of the other materials that have increased?
Right.
And then your workers too are advocating that they spend more on feeding. Especially for
you have
people
to
that give staff food.
Right.
So we have to increase price. So I actually feel for people that use diesel, because presently diesel is over 700 naira.
Why did you go for using petrol? What informed the idea? Because usually...
Because I just started not too long.
Okay.
So I'm not producing in a large scale. I'm not using rotary oven. I'm still using the normal deck oven.
Right.
So I'm not producing at that capacity. I need to use diesel. I can still use petrol. Once you use it, I can still use petrol.
Okay. So it means that at the moment, it's probably safer to use petrol than diesel.
Yes, it's cheaper.
Okay.
It's cheaper to use. In fact, a lot of bakers now, they are going for electrical ovens. Some bakers are changing their ovens to electrical because it looks like paying NEPA bills now, especially if you have the prepaid, it's cheaper than using diesel. Now,
let's look at, what we're looking at the moment is the fact that there is probably panic now that operation, once the association shut down operation, it means that we're going to have a ripple effect in the economy. And now, you are in the industry. What will be the impact of that should the association shut down, and how would that affect the ordinary man on the street, especially the price of the commodity itself?
I believe it will affect every family, because every family in Nigeria eats bread. Even the diabetes, they eat wheat bread.
Okay.
So imagine not producing bread for like a week. Some people will find it difficult to survive. Earlier on, bread used to be the cheapest food for a common man to eat. But right now, you can no longer say that.
Okay, I want us to quickly take a break. When we come back, we will discuss more. You're still watching Business Breakfast. We'll take a moment now. When we come back, of course, the conversation continues. Please stay with us. Glad to have you back. Now, been looking at the Nigeria bread baking industry and, of course, the plan by the association to shut down operations or production as a result of the cost of diesel, which has jacked up from around 350 to around 7 or 800 naira. Now, Barrister Bukola Olatunde, CEO, MD CEO, Bread Pro, is still here with me in the studio. Thank you for being with us. Let's look at, because why we are discussing this is to look at the solution to it. Is there a sort of relief for the association or the bakers in the industry and say, look, this is a kind of incentive for people in business, and perhaps that, of course, will cushion no matter how the price of diesel, goes up and all of that, and then there will be a kind of a cushioning effect. Do you have any arrangement like that? And is the association in a kind of programming or advocacy program? Is there any kind of advocacy program for the association?
We can only employ the government, even though they have organizations like NISA, like they have some credit facility,
right?
Organization. The government should, they should help bread makers more than other industry.
Like in form of loan, right?
In form of loan, loan with low interest or low or no interest, even in form of grants, and if possible, they can subsidize at least the major ingredient like flour. They can subsidize for the people that are making it, and then thirdly, for the people that consume, for the consumers, they should also bear in mind that other things have increased, because they still want to be buying for the old price they were buying, forgetting that everything generally have increased.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
I don't know why particularly people don't want an increase in bread. I've noticed it. They buy other things, even other food, there is increase in price. They understand.
Absolutely, you are in business to make profit. So
yes, when it comes to bread, they just believe that bread is something that blows up. Maybe because in the past, what people used to use, they use bromates to blow up, the dough. So, and right now, we don't use it. I believe that modern bakeries, they don't use it because NAFDAC has really kicked against it. So people expect that, people still have that mentality that bread increases, the dough increases. So it does not, the price of ingredients will not have so much adverse effects on the profits. But it's not like that, because we don't use bromates to blow up our dough.
But yeah, if you're talking about grant, let me go back to grant now. I'll come back to the issue of health and all of that later. But the grant you're talking about, have you tried anyone? Have you?
I have tried once or twice before.
Okay.
I got nothing.
And it has never worked. Is it a commercial bank? A commercial bank? You went to commercial bank,
NISA,
or
I've tried
you
with
go
NISA.
to? All right.
I've applied online, because if you go there, it will tell you applying online. I've applied online with NISA, and one other government, but I can't remember now, Prasata, a credit facility too.
Yeah.
I applied, but I never got any feedback. Nigeria, factor, depending on who you know.
Do you think aside the issue of the price of diesel that is going up and impacting on the cost of operation, are there any challenges the bakers in the industry face at the moment?
Bakers, we generally call them prostitutes. Even now they call them prostitutes.
Why is that?
Because they go from one place to the other, depending on how much you offer them. Somebody wants to start a bakery, all he needs to go is to go to another bakery and ask the baker, how much are they giving you? I'm willing to pay you more. So bakers generally, they don't even stay in one place. They move from one place to the other.
No, I'm even talking about, apart from the ground workers who are there, I'm even talking about, for instance, someone like you who own a bakery, a factory, and who is producing bread. So is there any, you talk about the fact that there is also a challenge of access to credit, and then now we're having the price of diesel for those who run diesel, use diesel to run their operation.
High cost of the materials
too. So apart from all of that, are there any other challenges that you want us to address or that can be addressed?
That one, well, the issue of corruption, because most of the bakers, they steal a lot. So there is a limit. Even if you have cameras, you have software, accounting software put in place, they will always find a way
Right.
of stealing.
Okay.
So
Which
the bakers, they also frustrate if you don't monitor well. They can.
that you
they
mean
tell
you mean the workers?
the workers,
Okay.
yes, they can tell you they produce, less than what they're actually producing, and they sell off and keep the money.
Now let's look at. We also heard that the price of flour is going up.
Yes.
Confirm that to us. And how do you think?
Regularly.
How do you think that can be addressed as well? Because of course you are in business to make profit, and so you probably or absolutely transfer that cost, the extra cost, to consumer, and that means you have to factor it into production as well. So I need you to give us what are some of the alternatives you think that the government can provide, or that one can explore to ensure that we have access to more flour or wheat and all of that?
The government cannot actually mandate flour producers that this is the price they must sell.
Right.
Because they will consider the costs of production too. Because the same way diesel affects us, it also affects them too in production. So I think the only way government can curb that or reduce that is by granting relief to the producers of the major ingredients we use for bread, like flour, like sugar, like butter. Grant them relief, maybe some company relief. Okay.
Now, I don't know if you've been in an association where you have people in business who have a baking a factory, like you were into this kind of business. Have you attended any of those forums, and what are some of the issues that lead your conversation or top your conversations within that forum?
I'm not actually a member of the bread making industry,
right?
But I heard it from the news. They actually voiced out, and they threatened to shut down, the bread making industry, at least for a while, until things can be, corrected. And they also, they gave two options. The second option is they increase the price of bread. So right now, I think increasing the price of bread, then government granting relief to some people will be the solution right now.
Okay, let me.
Then the major things that are causing it, like the diesel, maybe the government should look into it. And do the needful.
Before I allow you go, just give us your parting shot about the challenges facing the industry or your business that you just started, and some of the things that we can learn from there for someone who wants to start a business, perhaps in the baking of bread like yourself. So what are some of the things or information out there for us to pick?
The major challenge I've faced so far is the issue of staff. So if you want to go into that industry, you have to learn the process yourself, the bread making. Learn it yourself so that you're on top of your job, so that you can train people, not just professionals that will not stay with you for long. Then secondly is you monitor your materials. Right. Because theft is the major reason why a lot of bakeries open every time, but most of them don't get to see the light of the day. They shut down. And what causes it is theft. Theft from the bakers, from the sales girls, theft from the workers.
Quickly.
So you have to monitor. You have to monitor. If you don't have time to monitor, I would not advise you to go into anything that has to do with food.
Finally, how lucrative is the business?
It used to be lucrative, but presently with the situation in the country, it's no longer so profitable. But we're optimistic that things will be done, since we know that this general price increase has affected everything. So we are being optimistic that things will be done on it. But presently, it's not so profitable.
I'm also optimistic because I like quality bread. Maybe,
wow,